those representatives have been feeding back to the wider populace, but in some instances, we have also been working with the chairman, board of directors, who most often have been updating the rest of the team. So basically, I don't know why the team is here. So maybe there's a representative from the team. You can maybe deliver your message. But however, to say the least, we are a bit disappointed in the manner in which we approach the whole process, because I think we have been accessible. I recall that I even talked to the Zula team together at Zula. There was a time I went there, and they demanded that we update them. I did that, and I think there are 1 or 2 members of the team that even offline I have been updating them, giving them information as to the whole process. So for this afternoon, I don't know why you are here. So maybe just briefly, and please let's make it short, because we have a whole bunch, good number of people that we have to process individually. Please, there is a whole verification process that we want to start immediately. So if there's any representative, we would like to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you for finally giving us attention. Members in this room are members of former SALCAB staff. I would immediately refuse to mention Zula, because when it comes to ESOB, we're talking about staff that have worked for SALCAB. The reason why we're here this afternoon was because we've noticed there is an information gap. We've sent several letters. There have been no official response to those letters. And we see communication going here and there without mentioning these sets of people. In the first place, we have come to raise few concerns that we want you to listen to. One is that we have staff that have worked for SALCAB, but we notice that the ministry has always been creating a category of these staff, putting certain set of staff in a particular bracket, which is not good, and we are not okay with that. And these staff that are here this afternoon are staff that have been put into that bracket. We saw messages going around that staff were going to be paid, and we came to the ministry and we saw an evidence of that. Nobody has communicated to this certain set of staff that have been here. We received letters from the Ministry of End of Service Benefits. We related with other staff from that are in that particular set of category. They have benefits that we were not privy to. They have redundancy packages, they have rent allowances, they have leave allowances, and this certain set of staff that you are now talking to were not entitled to those benefits. They were not given those benefits. So we're here this this afternoon to register that we think we all worked for SALCAB, and when you're treating us as ex-SALCAB staff, not categorizing us. Yes, some of us were fortunate to work for an institution, but I would have equally worked for Orange, living SALCAB. I would have equally worked for some other institution. So if I'm working for an institution, and this institution is totally separate from SALCAB, they ask us to sign a whole new contract. They asked us to sign a whole new agreement. All of the staff here had to take a huge salary pay cut from what we were having from SALCAB. That alone, it's a form of depriving us from things that we are supposed to have. Because of the economic situation, some of the staff had to accept that just to be able to fit in. So if we are going to be deprived, so there are some staff out there, they've been paid redundancy package, they've been paid leave allowances, and they have jobs. They've still been collecting salaries. We are going to work every day, and we've accepted pay cuts, and yet nobody's communicating to us. Nobody's talking to us. You'll agree with me if you have evidence of a communication that has ever been sent to this category of staff. We'll be happy if you can make that available now. But there's a huge communication gap. We had to come into your office this afternoon because there's a communication gap. And when there's a communication gap, there's a tendency for chaos. It is good that you gave us your attention. It is good that you're able to listen to us. So there are two main things, two reasons why we're here. One, we have come to request that you treat us as a single unit, not categorizing us. So if our colleagues are getting a redundancy package, if they are getting leave allowances and rent allowances, we also want to be part of that. And secondly, we also want you to be clear on when are we going to be paying our end of service benefits, because people have been working for it. It is due them, but situation has presented itself as if somebody out there is supposed to do us a favor. I think everybody that has worked for an institution deserves an end of service benefit. So that is why we are here. I have a few other colleagues, maybe somebody might want to add a word or two to what I've already said.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis. So let me respond on behalf of the ministry to some of the issues that you have raised. I think again, yes, there may have been maybe some communications gap, but you know, we have taken our time. We have been advised by the Ministry of Labour, and that is why Cabinet has advised that the Ministry of Labour lead this process, because this is a labour issue. And because Ministry of Labour was leading the process, they have advised on what is due to who. So first of all, you talk about redundancy packages. I would want to state here that all staff that are currently working for ZUDLAB are not entitled to redundancy packages. The simple reason is you only get redundancy package when you lose a job as a fault of as a result of not you resigning or leaving. So for instance, if I'm changing a business and I want to downsize staff, all staff that will be affected won't benefit from redundancy. That's what redundancy is about. But for all of you, I want to ask here, who is currently working at ZULAB that did not tender his or her letter of resignation? Just raise your hand and they will take note of you and process you differently. Yes, let me complete. Let me complete. So you did not tender your letter of resignation? No. I'm asking
that if I send a letter of resignation,
wait. There is no acknowledgement.
I assume nobody received my letter.
The question is simple. Who here did not tender his letter of resignation to SALCAB?
So there's a clause to the answer.
Wait. Raise your hand if you did not tender your letter of resignation to SALCAB.
Yes, we rejected our letter.
Yes.
The first letters we are rejecting.
If it's legally, then none of us did.
None of us did.
Let me answer the question.
So then, if that's what you are saying, then we'll go through the legal process. It means you've actually been committing a crime. Because wait. Because if you are working for me and you did not resign and you pick up another job for another institution, you've actually committed a crime. But however, let's don't go into that. Again, let's don't try to raise an unnecessary issue here. We all know that one, the institution you are talking about is not like a very separate institution. This was.
It is.
Let me complete. The process of unbundling has requested that one, we unbundle the services that SALCAB was offering into two. One, the cable landing station, and then request for a private partner to work with government to manage the cable landing station. So therefore, when we completed that process, the entity that won the bid to take over the management of SALCAB, because one of the intention of government was for us to try as much as possible to maintain jobs for people. So therefore, one of the conversation we had with them that already you have in-house capacity. Can you look within the in-house capacity and try to see how much of the staff will be a requirement for you and then bring them on board on your own? Definitely, in terms of the terms of employment, we will have no control over that. I'll just pause here and then maybe brief peers before we continue. Pierre, as we are about to start the whole process, We also receive staff of Zoodlab in a very chaotic way, also requesting that they be paid redundancy packages, they be paid leave allowances, rent allowance, and end of service benefits. So I was just briefing them why they do not qualify for some of the benefits that others are qualifying for. One, to the best of our knowledge, when we completed the process of recruiting a private party to manage the cable landing station, before this group of people here started working, we actually received letters of resignation from them. Not all together, but I think in batches, now amounting to about 23 who actually resigned before picking up the next job. So automatically I was explaining to them that they do not qualify for redundancy. Redundancy is when you lose job as no fault of yours. It's very clear in the Gazette that we are dealing with from Ministry of Labour, and we have been advised by Labour. Secondly, the whole process happened in December. Already nobody was due rent allowance. They had paid all rent as at that date. Nobody was due leave allowances. They had paid leave allowances to everybody. 102 staff of SALCAB at the time of unbundling have received all their benefits in terms of rent, in terms of leave allowances, yes. So they have received that. So this was like a clean package, a clean slate going forward. So but when we started a new year and we have not processed the other people in terms of whether it was going to be redundancy or they will continue, so the issue of rent for them kicked in because they started a new year. So as long as they are still the obligation of SALCAB, rent will kick in for them immediately in January. When your leave time is due, immediately your leave is due, will be calculated. And most of these things have been prorated. That is what is due you. For instance, rent, we have calculated for the number of months that we have lapsed into the new year, which is 6. So as far as rent, as far as redundancy, as far as leave allowance is concerned, staff that are currently working for Zoodlab are not entitled to it as per the labor law of this country, gazetted. If you want, I can give you the gazette numbers. You go and check. It's very clear who is entitled to leave, who will be entitled to redundancy packages, etc., etc. What is due you is your end of service benefit. And I'm sure, again, I'm sorry if the representative from Zoodlab have not been updating you, then I apologize for that. But however, we have calculated benefits for everybody. Everybody that is due, we have calculated. We inherited a staff list of about 102 from the former SALCAB. Of this 102, 23 are currently working, resigned their job, and are currently working for Zoodlab. Initially, in fact, there was a time during my briefing with you, I joked with you that, do you want a continuity of service? You said, no, you want to end. We respected that. Because that was to be another form of receiving your payment. We said, okay, we'll pay you your end of service benefit. And we have calculated that with representative from Zoodlab, Ishmael, and your HR has been representing Zoodlab in all of those meetings. And in fact, when we validated all your data, your date of employment, your date of resignation, your basic salary on the date of resigning, when we validated that with Ministry of Labour chairing, we then now asked the committee to calculate benefit based on the standard formula provided by the Ministry of Labour. So that has been done. So the next thing was, how do we want to do the payment? We decided to categorize the payment into batches. We have batch 1, batch 2, and batch 3. And for, obvious reason, we categorize the batches into the first batch as to former staff of SALCAB that are going to suffer redundancy. For God's sake, if you want to put a human face to all of this process, then you will always prioritize people that are losing job than people that are at least having a daily or a continuation in their job, whether it's a different company or what. So we decided that 1, let's prioritize those former staff that redundancy has affected. That means as of the 31st of May, they have no job with SALCAB. And for that category also, we categorize them into supervisors, officers, engineers, technicians, and others. So that amounted to about 67 staff whom we are processing today for the first batch of payment. Everything has been calculated with all representatives, forwarded to Ministry of Labour. Ministry of Labour has looking at the formulas, what is due, and they have replied to the ministry that as far as those calculations are concerned, they have validated and vetted the calculations. So the next thing is the HR people have now worked out the tax and other things, there are tax laws in this country, etc., etc. So all that has been done. So today, the process that we are about to start for the 67 staff, that is those staff that has been affected by redundancy, who no longer have any job with SALCAB, we are going to process them to be the first batch of payment. After that, we still have 2 batches of people to be paid. One batch is the top management, which includes the MD, the chiefs, and the managers. The other batch is those staff that resign that are now working for Zoodlab. Is the 3rd batch that we have here. So nobody has been left out, except there is only one category of person that was omitted because they did not qualify. If you benefit calculation, there are periods. If you don't meet the period mark, you don't qualify for benefit. For instance, if they employ you today and the redundancy kick in immediately, you have no benefits. So that's exactly the situation. So I don't know where the information gap exists, etc., etc. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want to start where you left us, that we're in batch 3. Okay, so we're in batch 3. We're trying to understand, first of all, why. Because in retrospect, according to the principle, according to the law, every single person here resigned 8 months ago. That was in December. And if we're going according to the principle, you're supposed to pay me my end of service if I'm working for the government, whether it's a private company, as long as I've terminated my contract, it's a resignation, you owe me end of service payment. But then we had subsequent conversations to say, okay, you have to look at the fact that other people are as well affected by the unbundling. We said, okay, we've, exercised restraint, we've followed due process, we've written letters, we've sent emails, no form of official communication. And to retrospect with you saying we barged in, because this was the last resort. We've tried every means of official communication to the ministry and we haven't heard back. Phone calls are not official means of communication. That's why we're here. And with regards to us being in batch 3, I'd like to think that if we have exercised patience for 8 months, we followed due process, we've never gone out of line, we've always listened, we've been civil, would like to think we would have been paid as a lot. We can't be put at the back burner after we, according to the law, we resigned 8 months ago. If anything, we should be prioritized. And with saying put in a humanitarian feeling, yes, that's why we waited for 8 months. To say, okay, let this be a one-time payment for everyone. So for now, if we had not come here today, no one would have communicated this to us. And saying Zoodlab comes to the table, us as individuals are ex-staff of SALCAB.
Yeah.
Zoodlab is our current employer. They do not owe us any form of communication. The ministry represents the government in this case. That's why we're communicating with the ministry. And it's only right. We can't put that pressure on there. They were not our former employers.
I hear you. So first of all, like I said, I think the government was also magnanimous to ensure that in this process, because Zoodlab had all the right to have advertised the job out there, to look out for whoever they wanted to recruit. But we said no, we want to maintain, we want to see that this process of unbundling do not actually affect our citizens who we have already invested in training, etc., etc. So we have put human face to the whole process from the beginning. So that is why you saw that immediately Zoodlab took over, they did not even say let's advertise. They just look among the existing staff and then pick the people that meet their own requirement. And like I said again, I want to repeat this here, as far as conditions of service with ZULAB is concerned, government has no business in that. This is a company, it's a private company. They have what we normally call the performance bond with government. So basically, they set their own. So fast forwarding, I mean, honestly speaking, if I'm asked to prioritize payments in batches, I'm sure those people who are losing, who since May have not been receiving salaries, will be the first.
What?
That's unfair.
Those people
After waiting
who
for 8 months,
the
you have to see to the fact that
can I
you
land?
waited for 8 months.
Their job ended 31st of May. So the last salary they received was on the 31st of May. So basically, we said, okay, so in the process of them looking for another job, we have to ensure that they continue live. So that is why we decided to prioritize those category of people as in batch 1. I think the problem would have been if government is saying, oh, you are not going to receive end of service benefit. Everybody has said, everybody is due end of service benefit, and we have decided to put them into categories. We have a category 1 that we are processing today that are waiting outside there. After that, we will have a category 2 and we'll have a category 3.
Yes.
I think
If this is sentiment or legality.
No, we're saying it's not our fault that people have not received salaries since May. The ministry knew the timelines. The ministry gave them 2 months.
We want to know if this is sentiment or legality, because on legal grounds, we are the first to be paid. This is not the sentiment. This is legality. And you said it yourself.
We've been very considerate.
And we did not tender our resignation before the
So you can't
unborn
put us
people.
last after we've been the most understanding the entire process. It's so unfair. It's very, very unfair.
All right, let me just come with that. It's not about legality or illegality. It's about following due processes of government. We all know that losing a job is not an easy task anywhere in the world. Africa is better, you have a place to stay, you have a cousin to stay, your sister in the West, you become homeless. You lose your home and you go out in the streets. The reason why we are paying the batches is because the second and the third batches are going to be paid by the government of Australia. And being that as its way, there are processes in government. After they only finish the calculations and validated by the Ministry of Labour on Monday, last week Monday. Tuesday was a public holiday. Wednesday, put in motion the modalities for this first batch to be paid. The second batch, we need executive clearance to fast track it. If we had decided to go to cabinet, it was going to take a long period. So we are going to have done the executive clearance. The minister is going to sign up to it. And immediately the president gives his approval. The second and third batches are paid. It's not about you are going to be taken for another 8 months. So I'm appealing to you that let's have a conversation after we've dealt with this other batch today. Then we fix a date that we'll come and sit down so you can really understand what entails in the entire process. So I'm appealing to you now. You have a job. Every month you are being paid. Be patient. Let's deal with those who don't have a job for now. It's not going to take long. It's just to get the clearance because it's going to be paid by government. The second, third batches. So that's my appeal to you. Did that make sense to you?
Can I ask a question, sir? Sorry. So the payment of ex-SALCAB staff that are now working in ZULAB, is it hinging on the executive clearance as well? Because
Both batches.
we're also asking that if you can kindly put timelines.
That's why I said let's have a
In the
conversation.
next 3 years.
I cannot put a time now on His Excellency's time.
It's
I will show you the
unsatisfactory.
executive clearance that I've written, but I cannot show you time of president. You know that His Excellency, I cannot take your time.
So you see how you have to understand how this is so unfair on us.
I don't understand. You call it unfair. I don't understand. But be rest assured that you are entitled to end of service benefit and it's going to be paid. So can you please be patient? You be patient for 8 months.
Yes.
And you have a job. You be paid every month. Can you please just give a human face? Let the others have it first. Then the other one will allow His Excellency to take a decision. Please. I'm appealing to you.
No, we agree. It's okay, but at the same time, Chairman, you can go.
Thank you very much, PS. I'm sorry about the voice. I'm a very lost voice today. And I just want to continue to appeal to you to exercise patience as we go through this process. It has been very difficult for all of us. I was amongst an employee of SALCAB. I'm also affected. But as I say to you, please, let's exercise some restraint, exercise patience until we get the executive clearance from His Excellency the President. There is no way we're going to give you timeline. We cannot speak for the President. He's a very busy man. Maybe by the time the executive clearance gets to him, it will take time for him to get back to us and say, okay, you can proceed with the payment. Even if we get the clearance, there are processes we have to follow. And as you heard from the PS, those processes are performed already. Calculations have been made. They are talking with the Labour Ministry. They are also in line with all of this. So please, as your chairman, we'll continue to appeal to you to exercise restraint and patience until we get to the point where we get the executive clearance from His Excellency. Since it is the responsibility of the government to pay batch 2 and 3, batch 1 is obviously going to be paid by the soldiers. That is the process we're embarking on today. Batches 2 and 3 will be paid by the government, and it's a huge sum of money. You know, government has competing priorities as well, but we have ensured that this is a very important issue, and the government is very much aware of that. So please, I'm appealing to you to continue to exercise patience until we get to the end of the road. Thank you very much.
One piece of information. Again, if you know that you have materials that belong to SALCAB, we have asked the internal auditor to receive those materials. Payment will be contingent on ensuring that all properties of the company has been turned over. So please work with Mr. Kore Kuma. I think he was the internal auditor, so he is currently receiving those items.
We have an issue of the lack of formal communication between us and the ministry. So after this meeting, we are requesting that we get a formal communication on the next time we are going to have the conversation.
Yeah, and also if it can also indicate that we are waiting an executive clearance for payment to be made and all. Because in retrospect, today we came here, PS, we're actually here to see you were not around. So we requested to see the director.
You did not request.
And the way he matched us out, after we've sent several letters, we've tried officially. And some of these things, they are wrong, they are not done. It's so condescending to match people out of your office if they are here to have a simple conversation with
It's
you.
so condescending to also barge into people's
No,
office.
it's not. You're a civil servant, your door should be open to talk to everyone.
Moving forward.
No, we didn't. We didn't barging.
Fatima,
Yes.
moving forward, address all correspondences to the permanent secretary.
We were a copy of the letter we sent.
Copy is not in person.
You can't take action.
Okay, we'll do that, sir.
I'm the head of administration, I can't take action.
Okay.
Address it to me.
Yes, I would also like to suggest to not to get such an experience again. You guys agree amongst yourself and have a focal person that will represent you rather than having several voices speaking on the same
Can you
thing.
bring somebody?
No.
You will.
So that we know officially that you
Put
have.
together a team, it's a collaborative effort. One person
We agree.
can impose, it can be two
cannot
people,
have
it can be
one
three. Yes,
No,
and that's
Two
okay.
persons, you don't need to come out.
Okay, we'll
Just
select
have
two
your
people amongst ourselves and we'll come.
That
Yes,
is
and we
okay.
send
Why
them.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are moving, they will have easy access. Francis is one.
So if you have information gap now, you blame them.
Yes. So to add up to my colleagues, it would be good if you send us an official communication.
That's what you want from.
You can equally write us telling us these people are representing your interest on this subject. That's also better.
Watch it for me. You do a formal letter to me expressing all the concerns that you want to hear and I cannot address you.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And please don't further the relationship.
We're not asking for it equally, we're not asking for it I said, hey, we're not going to. Lobo? Yeah. Yes. But the man is asking, you resign. If I can say, go legal, if you don't pay with back, because you don't even give you notice, you don't resign, you go.
Una wanda imbachi. Na imbachi.
No, no, they can't. Why we talk to the people this time?
I know what's happening.
No, I need to give you all money to sign this one. Well, everybody on this side. Time.
Max up.
All this based on the list where Jamal post today. Are we all this? Invite one this afternoon. for come to another stage of the whole unbundling process where the ministry, by cabinet directives, we don't lead. I don't say Goku information, we don't they fly, this they happen, that they say this, that they say this. But I'm sure that from the beginning, the ministry and the government has always been committed for seeing a process with a human face. A process wherein we will try as much as possible for waiting due people there, then they get up. So we have been working with your leadership. Chairman has been very supportive with the top management, the HR, etc. For making sure say we actually capture people there as how they are inside the system. There has been delay, not because we want for delay. Sometimes it has been lack of information. There are times we ask for information, it can hard forget, people then start date. There were times some money they can't start date. When you check out, you will find out so this person be calculator, so you go lost for money, this and that, those back and forth letters, count letter where they here, now check inside the letter what is state. So those have been some of the challenges. Oh, we don't be careful, let this process, make this process today up to here. But in all of this, the commitment has always been people should have their service benefits, people should have their severance packages, etc. So we get the data, we validate them. A small committee was put together, headed by the Ministry of Labor in this country, the only institution with the competency for calculate end of service benefit or for better than Ministry of Labor. So Cabinet direct that Ministry of Information will work with the Ministry of Labor to ensure that every step of the process, the law is followed. So one, we are guided by Gazette. Whether belong Gazette in this country, where the guide to, if somebody they left job, waiting for happen to her. If you sack somebody, waiting will happen to her. Or if you business not do well, you want to let some people, the waiting will happen. So we look at all of that and find out say in our own situation, now waiting they what they call redundancy, and it don't happen. Because we dey change business, and because we dey change business, it look like say the number of people that will be getting look a bit boku at that moment day. So therefore we agree saying that be a redundancy situation. So as a result of that, we give a 2-month notice to all of the staff there. As per law, the law say if you dey redundant somebody, if you get 2 months notice, and if you continue for receiving pay, or you redundant immediately and get 2 months money, I think will be up for the other one. Say, okay, then I continue for camp for the next 2 months and receive a salary until the 31st of May. So effectively, the redundancy will kick in on the 31st of May, 2001. So after that, we work with the leadership of the former SALCAB, the HR, the CFO. Darami, is Darami here? Yes. Darami as one of the HR people there. I think I'll be celebrating today in the meeting. Where? Today I go? Okay, so we work with this team. But like I said, data was a major challenge. I mean, processing 102 people, you don't have to let nobody out. You don't have to disadvantage anybody. You have to ensure say everybody, the period where they don't work, you able to capture them. That was not an easy task. So tell them when they come, we walk out, where we go, other information can say, in possible in date of the date where it starts, we are not get them correct, so back and forth. But eventually, the committee where government will put together comprising of this ministry, your representatives, the Ministry of Labor when I am competent for guiding the process, ZUTLAB, and we sit down one by one. Everybody will take you the letter where they give you, where they employ. I think you submitted those documents, eh?
Yes, sir.
We look at them for final say this person now the 1st of June, so year like they employer. We note them down. When he left at this, where it be the left. The money when they start for pay, now he left with or anything may happen, they say, well, some other get increment. Where the document where they show and the counter will verify. So that can be the verification process will be go through. Because if you don't do that, you go either disadvantage some people there. In fact, a disadvantage then will happen there because the only first data will get by your employment letter now waiting. The money where they start for paying you. But I'm sure that's not what you are receiving now. So we take time. Some people they say if you have to forget that data, they will tell us count your data. They count down on computer. With computer, at the end of the day, we all agree. Your representative, Zoodlab, us here, yes, those information are accurate as far as then group of their staff are concerned. So we now forward that to Ministry of Labour. With Labour, look the staff there, look the category there, look the time where they enter, everything. Now you guide us what we do next. They give a gazette where they guide everybody in this country can employ posting. What you do, what are the formula, how to calculator, we follow that one day. So we use that, we calculate all will benefit them. They say we forgive a redundancy package because the job we are not left as a result of yourself. Now business they per change, that means this won't happen. Secondly, because the year don't start, they say we operate the rent. That means if now 3 months don't lapse into the year, if we calculate that and get rent. The leave we calculate that based on everybody that will people get in different leave period. We don't do all that one day. When we do that one day, we don't get them done. The next thing we'll do now is for apply the tax law. This country, anything they do it for pay tax. So we apply the tax law into all the categories. Some people they don't affect them because there is a bracket for tax. So money they government is saying only for tax, some day for tax. So some people they say, wait some more calculate, now they get some other small deduction happen. So at the end of the day, with all of that, and now submit to government. The government say now, let's categorize this into groups of, payment order. So we look at the whole lot of stuff and categorize it into three batches. So you are in batch 1, and I'm sure in this batch we get all the supervisors in IR, we get all the engineers there, the technicians, the supervisors. We categorize as one category of people there. That's what we normally call as the middle level. Then we also now take the top level, the MD, the chiefs, the managers. We categorize as the top management. That's another category. We say yes, but another group of people every day, they want to colleague them. Then they don't resign, but they're entitled to certain things. It's another category we will say. So that process has been vetted. Everybody don't look at that. We don't give boku ya to our normal people. They will say even as this morning, first thing this morning, the internal auditor was here, Mr. Pore and some other people there. One after the other, we look at the figure they give. They call the name, we check the figure, are they correct? It's correct because no one disadvantage person. So again, when people don't know the strain, the process where this thing they go through, they think say that way they can click a button happen. And one thing about benefit calculation, forget formulas, forget Excel, because Excel is into a lot of error into one. So therefore, Labour they always advise that do it manually, because if you put Excel, then point and other things, by the time they might either block the figure or somebody disadvantage them. So everything was painstakingly done. We arrived at the figure. So today I have a process first batch of payment where 67 of the 102 that then another category day. And I don't call the categories already. That 67, the total amount payout where government they make today, where we go to all of them people individually, it amounts to about 5.2 billion. And they go out today for in terms of payment to the 67 people that they fall inside that category. However, they don't apply tax, so the actual total would be below that one the way you will see. But that's about what the government is paying out today to the 67 staff there. So the process what they have today for do, one, if you're not possible to get property for the company, I think we don't advise you now if you don't sort that one out because we get the list now. Secondly, Labour say in paying out benefit, there's what they call declaration. That means you declare, say you accept, say, what is due me they don't pay me, and the employer don't owe me nothing again. So that's the process we go through now. And if we vet say you don't owe everybody after signing this, then they instruct the accountant for immediately release the money to the various accounts. We don't pay nothing. Everybody will be not pay you through an account. Now that account they will get, now that information detail we don't take, now they will pay. So therefore, what do they do now? So chairman, as the chair of the board, they can witness for say yes, then category of people we have, government will process them for pay them. After that, you as an individual, one by one, if we know say you not get any assets for the company, you also receive this. There is a portion wherein you can sign for so say you have been processed and all the benefit due you get inside that letter. And once we complete this process, then the bank alert will go. So that's the process we are doing here today. Yes, Chairman.
Thank you very much.
We'll ask few questions. All right.
Although I arrived, I'm not patient for 8 months. I did finish someone. Remember one day one lady cried. I don't know how I feel that day. When I was very emotional, especially when we get to do it too much. When I was too much. So I feel another day so much. But that's in our history now. We'll explain our story. Today now the day we honor for blood.
No glad you.
We
don't happy for this morning because not to be weak, not to be wishes.
Not glad.
You know, bloody, and I'll be giving a statement saying, nobody bloody, they company also.
Yeah. We will not happy for this morning.
And so, as government, and so you print. Sometimes we favor you, saying are the best. Sometimes with the law, not favor you, you oppose. That's life. Maybe you papa and us. So take a day, we decide for buy first for your brother. Say, let you go to Christmas. That lady, the girl says, it's not fair. We can say, Daddy, that's not fair. So, life not fair, naturally. But the most important part of it is that what you do, you can't get an escape. Forget job next. By the grace of God, once you get skilled, you believe in God, you must get up. That's just get the faith that you will get up. It's just a matter of time. So I'm glad today we are all in agitations. Today we will lay to rest because I remember when we go through the process, when I command the call, it takes. Yeah, when I don't get preparation, I never get prepared. I can't be to don't want my word. I mean, I can't see those. Because I saw before my own day. You know, we say not to me. What if it's a table, now the truth. So we can well be today. I don't say no. So I go with that. And I'm happy that this matter will lead to rest today. As Mr. Jalo rightly said, the process, the government process now is, I won't have been sending to know what's body. Most of it on Nigeria, the MDJ they sign they go. But when it comes to government, the process is, and if you mistake left one, not to any good, not me, as permanent secretary, say that you supervise why you don't go through all these processes. I drive now, I go to the Minister of Labour. Sometimes the minister also say they drive, so then chairman say they follow. Go to them for make sure they go and fast. You know, it's work at clear benefit too. Because you mistake so one person, you don't cut and short, you don't reduce the money. Or you don't add them. The day when the Ministry of Labour really finally validates the minister, sign letter, approve on a body, saying for pay. Monday, Tuesday na holiday. The next day, I didn't have Tuesday strike. It was very disheartening and sad to say, well, I got a representative now, go for the given information every step. Unfortunately, nobody gonna do it. I just said I have it on the because we usually make people bring people on board in all parties and collect them make you audits every day saying that this will not do, I will not tap. But that not really happen. But that the rest of the history. So today you will not say the property for SALCAB, not even the you come, the handle bank. Now upon an electronic transfer, as you validate, you sign this you severance letter today, then they transfer it in their account today. Not even today they transfer their account. So now they sign this. Now table them they pay you. Now I'm gonna see what you sign it. So now we're an electronic transfer. Not the last one now. That may not be ever one of the that this goes in corner, so that is the only day. Not necessarily to go back.
Before I make like Chairman say little addition to all of this, one piece of advice to the beginner that again in life, if fine for patient. What I tell you now is that yesterday we say a job with a loss. But in actual fact, there's a lot of opportunity out there. Even this company we talk about is a grow. There's a phase 2 where they go on, we don't go to more places than how if they sell. Definitely they go for need people there. But because the process what they do, it reach a point say service what people don't render, government say well don't pay for that service they don't render. Now I may put it at this station. But you see, even Zula people and the people Zula can na angel they can sit on there. But at the end of the day, now from among una 23 of una now they did this so. And not people say outside with 2 or 3 inside Zula today. And the same SALCAB staff they will be there, now they sit on there. Even inside this new company they talk, as they talk, even in the interim, about 23 of una. Now they don't say in the interim why they form the company. This is a live network, let not go down. Let them 23 people and they fall on an individual contract basis, not on employment. So therefore, by the time they form the company, it's going to go beyond those 23 because they're not going to do that job. Right now, someone have an engineer, they're on shift right now. We're not supposed to be so. But it's a process. And if you're not patient for let that process go through, you decide to listen to misinformation and other things, then you bound for finding yourself in a situation wherein maybe you will take a decision where not go support you going forward. So my advice to una allow patient and allow the process for complete and see what they out there for una. Some of una the skill una get nobody for left una out there. That's for sure. Because I don't expect me for take over. Let's say I take over this house for manager, somebody don't use for manager, I say I drop her. So therefore, it's a process that we need for patience with, let it complete, let us see. Just like when they say, Zula wake up when they lost job, or Zula I say I need 23 people there. You don't go out there, the people that with the right skill among one are they take. So therefore, even the new company, where the process already they on for register, if we patient, maybe the same company I get for recruiting and back. But if we not process and we did follow this post today, I don't want to sack them, don't sack with this and that. But now a process. Until the new entity exists, nobody will be employed. Even if you cannot employ them, employ a contract. Because in legal terms, an entity will not form yet, you know, they employ anybody. So that's the process we are going through now. A lot of patience, what all receive with small life supporting, wait is a lot of patience and see how that process they go and see what's the opportunity that the new unborn will bring. Rather than we strive on Roman misinformation, even as we see here. Some people they even write it, they know they pay people there. They know they pay people there. Even as we see here, so the articles are out there in the social media. But the only advice to una is that go patient and believe in your capacity, believe in your talent, and believe in God. Say, look, I have a talent, I have a capacity. I'm sure the new company will require my capacity to also contribute. That will be my advice. Chairman, anything that we
no, for the process. I just want to say very sorry about what happened. We all not been expect this. By the time when the appointment when I come, I'm visiting for a period of 5 years. I'm sure a good many of them have been looking forward to 5 years plus. Unfortunately, in the middle of all of this, bonding came about. They separate the company. One side go to another company, a private company. Government decided to maintain another company. But as soon as the director say, government is set up a new company. Maybe, I'm not giving any cast time assurance, but maybe amongst them, some of them will employ not to know. So rest assured that government will abandon this come about as a shock to all of us. Me in particular as chairman. So because as chairman, people they say the chairman must stand for we, but government decision be bigger than me. I was just a chairman. The minister was there. The minister said was instructed by cabinet. So he had to implement cabinet decision. So that decision cascaded down to the board. The board in no way will stand in the way of government. Government buy Mutuka, they say we want for seller. The chairman will say no, not selling Mutuka. The chairman will get about it. So I want to tell you plenty, thank you for the patience of the exercise. We don't come to the end of the process today. Everybody is going to be paid. The 67 number who we get on the list will be paid today. I thank you very much, and let God make you get a better job this time.
So for making Martin Lisa.
Yes, sir.
I think you still get an asset. Umar Bunduka. Okay. I think on the list, those are so. Wait. So basically, we go follow the list now, and people then will receive the attestation registered and sign up. From there, we go. That will be the end. Then you wait for the alarm.
What is alert here? Would you and I can say wait for an hour? Now would you can say? Now we go from the last can say. No can say no thing there. You know see alert. So before they are the last can say. Why just sir?
Oh, Bangali man. So do you want to go fast because 7 minutes for the
I'll send them when they say they read.
The figure for you.
But somebody you person a figure you want to show you how
The figure.
everything inside it. Everything inside. Follow one answer.
No, they say
But I like video show. All this, they will book man, they will say slow.
the most important thing.
Mustafa.
They might not live the run, bro.
David Foa.
Chairman, if you parent, we get a copy of our
You go snap by another phone.
Another phone. Jama mi another phone. So I want copy.
Supposed to snap for anybody. What am I looking for? Only camera on top of the road. If man can sign out, then I'll not come. Aqui em Popô.
Philippe Samou.
Yes. Samou.
Shaku. Morrison. I would suggest let nobody have people identify there because I don't know them. Anybody not can sign on. Darami. Yes, sir. Darami. The support.
No, but you didn't call me, sir.
Ali.
Come on, Joe. For which?
Christopher.
Parlez-vous.
Danet. On a plein de Joseph?
Yes.
Yeah.